25/8 is in the business of time. We help leaders of small and medium-sized businesses work smarter, not harder, so they feel like they have an extra hour in the day and day in the week. Go from don't know what I don't know to I can't miss this show, as we talk proven strategies, practical tips and insider insights from a diverse range of industry leaders. Make time to grow your capabilities and confidence with 25/8. Hi, I'm Sam, CEO of 25/8 and host of Make Time. This week's episode, we make time to focus on our core strengths, a lesson I know very well myself. At one stage, I remember my business partner Phil asking whether we need to look for a job. He was joking at the time, although it felt like a half joke. No one was certain of what was to come. And like many businesses, we were immediately impacted at the start of the global pandemic. A large percentage of our client base was government, and spending was put on hold whilst our business clients were either desperately waiting to see what happened or what was going to happen, or already pulling the pin on expenses. We had 3 businesses at the time: a hybrid marketing consultancy agency and a customer experience consultancy and a passion project called the Regional Growth Project, and the resources to support all 3. There was no way we could steer each of them into the unknown with what was an increasingly small pipeline. We had to make decisions, and fast. For us, it came down to 2 things. How can we help the community, and how do we look after our staff? It was a pivotal moment, I imagine, not just for us. I imagine you may have felt the same during that time. And we often grapple with the temptation, I suppose, here to diversify our offerings, or less grapple and more do. And we have so many products and so many services and potentially so many businesses that it can often be confusing. However, history and strategic frameworks suggest that honing in on core competencies can be a much more effective path to sustainable success. One of the frameworks I used at the time to help determine the path that we should take was Jim Collins' Hedgehog Concept. I'd found this strategic framework in Jim Collins' business book, Good to Great, which I highly recommend reading if you haven't done so already. And he emphasizes that in order to be a great company, you need to sit at the intersection of 3 critical dimensions. The first was what you're deeply passionate about. The second, what you can be the best in the world at. And the third, what drives your economic engine, or essentially what people are going to pay you for. Collins argues that companies achieving greatness are those that identify and focus on this intersection. They resist the allure of diversification that doesn't align with their core strengths. So that's what we did. We needed to consolidate our resources. We had to hone in on our strength in business and digital education and mentoring, and particularly focus on startups and SMEs who we'd been helping extensively, but who needed the most help during this period. And we could lean on our experience, our expertise, to help people through this period so that they survived equally. Just recently, I've seen the Lego case study doing the rounds again, and this highlights this point beautifully. Lego, the beloved Danish toy company, is close to bankruptcy in the late 1990s, early 2000s. And they were reporting losses exceeding $300 million in 2004. They diversified extensively, as you may have experienced. They'd gone way beyond their plastic building bricks and into theme parks such as Legoland, and clothing, video games, watches, television series, numerous licensing agreements, and they were also producing a high number of custom blocks, and it was costing them a lot of money. The crux of their struggles, as later analysed by business experts, including Jim Collins, was precisely what the Hedgehog Concept warns against: trying to do too much without deeply excelling at one clear central strategy. And Lego was attempting to compete with entertainment giants and fashion companies instead of sticking with its primary skill, producing high quality, innovative building blocks that inspired creativity in children and adults. So under the leadership of Jürgen Wignerdstorp, who was appointed the CEO in 2004, Lego embarked on a crucial strategic pivot back to their core product, Lego bricks. And this refocus included reducing the complexity, cutting down their product range dramatically, reducing the numbers of unique brick elements by more than 50%. By simplifying, they streamlined production, inventory, and logistics, which significantly cut costs, as you can imagine. Lego reinvested in product innovation, centered on their iconic bricks. They revived classic lines like Lego City and invested heavily in creative brick-based playsets such as Lego Creator and Technique, which reignited their appeal amongst their core customers. And they leveraged that community and customer feedback and actively engaged with their loyal fan base, children and adults alike. And they encouraged that feedback and co-creation. This involvement not only refined their offerings, but also strengthened brand loyalty significantly. And then they strategically reduced their licensing deals to only those closely aligned with their brand ethos, such as Star Wars, Harry Potter, and Marvel. And this resulted in powerful partnerships that complemented their brick-based core rather than distracting from it. And the results were exceptional, as you may have experienced. That renewed focus on its fundamental strength, the bricks, had dramatic positive impacts. They rapidly returned to profitability, growing from a loss-making position to becoming one of the world's most profitable toy companies by the late 2000s. Their brand reputation soared, reclaiming its position as one of the most beloved and trusted brands worldwide, and recognized consistently for creativity, quality, and innovation. And with this renewed strategic focus, they expanded successfully into new markets, seeing explosive growth, particularly in Asia. Lego's disciplined focus on core strengths continues to deliver stable and robust growth, with strong sales globally and an enduring brand loyalty. Another example that you may remember is Kodak, and this didn't work out so well. Their lack of focus eventually led to their decline. They were once a leader in photography, but they failed to adapt to the digital revolution, partly due to its investment in unrelated ventures. This lack of focus contributed to its decline, and this highlights the risk of straying from your core strengths. Hopefully, these stories highlight critical lessons for us as business leaders, especially if you're in your early stages or you're facing growth decisions or market changes. Clarity matters. Understanding precisely what your business can do better than anyone else is really essential. And beware of overextending yourself. Rapid diversification without strategic alignment will dilute your strengths and risk weakening your competitive advantage. It also means additional resources, additional costs, and you need to fuel that. Core competency is key. Focus on your foundational strengths that drive really clear market positioning, which builds profitability and customer loyalty. So what can you do? Make sure you identify what your core competencies are. Maybe use Jim Collins' Hedgehog framework. I found it really useful to do with the staff at the time, and everyone inputted on what we thought, and then gather feedback from your customers. Make sure you're assessing what you do exceptionally well. Where can you be the best in the world at? And where can that lead the market? Align that with your passions. Ensure that it aligns with where you want to take the business and the passions of your team to make sure that you remain motivated to keep going. The next important thing is to make sure, obviously, it's viable, that the market wants what you are going to be the best at the world at. So understand what of these products or services, what of your offerings are most profitable, and focus your resources accordingly. And deeply understanding the market and customer needs helps here. We need to resist overextension. Avoid the temptation to diversify too early. Expansion should be considered only when it aligns with your core competencies and market demand. The path to sustainable growth in business can often come down to focus rather than diversification. By identifying and concentrating on your core strengths, what you're passionate about, what you can excel in, and what will drive your economic engine, you'll position your business for long-term success in the most part. If you'd like extra support to help you get there faster, 25/8 can help. Join one of our programs today or complete the Stage of Business Growth quiz to get some tailored tips to help you in your business. See you next time. Thanks for listening to Make Time, a business podcast by 25/8. If you like the show, please take a moment to write a review and feedback on what you'd like to hear next. If you never want to miss an episode, hit subscribe or follow on your favourite listening channel. If you want to get even smarter, join our newsletter, community, or take one of our programs. Links down below. See you next time.